What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Content is King episode. I am very sorry to say that I had to delay the last episode. It just didn't. If you didn't see my tweet and you were like, "Man, I was really hoping that he would have come out with an episode," I just didn't feel like it was enough. I didn't have enough to it. It didn't feel like there was enough meat to the podcast to be worthwhile to give you guys anything that was good other than an opinion, and an opinion's great. I love being able to share my opinion with you, but I felt like that was not enough to give you guys something that could help you decide and make better decisions as content creators, or as viewers even. So I wanted to delay it and come up with one that was better to help you guys out. And so I spent about half an hour or so today coming up with one that I had talked to Ro about in the last. I talked to Ro. If you guys don't know, the Roche on Twitch is one of my mods. Really great guy. Love talking to him. And I was talking to him on the phone one day, and I was like, you know what, So here's the thing, and here's how it got brought up. We were talking about how his wife wants to start content creating. I was like, it's awesome. I really want to see your wife start content creating. She has a lot of really unique content, and I'd like to see it flourish. Only thing is, I'm not really a big fan of her name. I was like, I think that with her name, like, it's great because it has stuff to her, but I don't think for branding purposes, it's going to be the easiest thing to brand to. And so I was talking to him a little bit about that. And so first, I'm sorry that is my opinion, Caitlin. Love you. But I do want to kind of gear this towards somebody that's starting off, to help out and kind of give you a better idea of where I think that name branding management should go. And so I guess this is kind of going towards you specifically, but also to others, that might be dealing with starting off with your name because you just don't know what to do. So the thing is, when you're branding with your name, your tag, your alias, whatever you want to call it, you need to make sure that it fits a lot of criteria and goes to a lot of places. So what I'm planning on doing in this podcast is explaining where I got my name from, why I switched from name to name, because I've had 3 names basically over my time of content creating. What you should not do with your name, things you should do with your name, and that should be about it. It's going to be it's not going to be super in depth. And again, it is all my opinion. And I'm willing to talk to anybody, and I'm willing to be told I'm wrong. If you guys want to come on and talk to me about this, hit me up on Twitter at mindofkill. Respond on YouTube when this comes out, anything like that. My last little bit of business before we jump in is the fact that on YouTube, you guys will notice that these come out about a week or so, about half a week to a week later than the audio podcast. I really want the audio podcast to be the main thing. I want people to go, and I want them to be able to listen to it on their way to work. That's why right now, if you're watching the YouTube video, all you're seeing is me with my nice camera, right? I got my nice new camera all set up, and all you're seeing is me. And that's the point. I don't want this to be as visually engaging of a thing. I want this to be able to be something that is there for people to be able to listen to while they're doing other things at work, driving around, anything like that. So that way it's easy content for you to do on the go. Anyway, that all being said, let's get started into it. So where was my original name? Because my name is Kilohmz, and if you don't know me as anything else, you might be like, well, you're Kilohmz, who you've always been Kill or Kilo. Where did you come from? All right. Well, 5 years ago, I started out actually as Classy Kilroy on YouTube. So I've had 4 names, I guess. And so I was Classy Kilroy on YouTube, and I didn't really like the classy part of it, but I had the inspiration from Shady Penguin and Hoodlum Scrafty and a couple of other Pokemon YouTubers. And I was like, man, I really like that. Let's put a thing in front of my nickname and it'll be fine. And so that was it. We went with Classy Kilroy because it sounded really well and it rolled off the tongue. Well, I move over to Twitch, and I was like, nah, I don't really want the classy part. I just want Kilroy. Kilroy was taken, so I went Kilroy with my birth year, which is 1993. So I was like, Kilroy 1993. That's what I'll do. It's very easy, very simple. Why not? Well, after a while, some stuff happened with me personally and some branding stuff. And I was like, I want to get rid of the numbers. I kind of want to change a little bit. I want to grow from some stuff that's happened. I like the nickname that everybody had kind of called me Kill. Kill was my nickname. It was how I was known. So I was like, okay, I'm going to find some way to say Kill with one L. No, not two L's, with one L. And I want to go from there. And you know what? Some people actually, I just thought about this. Some people are probably wondering, why did I pick Kilroy? So if you don't know, Kilroy is a thing from from World War II. World War II. If I could talk. It's been a long day. From World War II, Kilroy was here. And it was a big thing through the Allied forces to mark that they had seen something, mark missiles and stuff like that, all these things. As well as it was a joke, right? Oh, all the toilet paper's gone. Oh, Kilroy was here. Stuff like that as a time of war to help out and make things better for everybody and stuff like that. So that's where my name originated from. I wanted to help people. I've always wanted to help people. I always want to do things to help people more. That's why my name was Kilroy. There you go. So, fast forward, and I moved to my second name, which was Kill Plays. Kill_plays. It was bad, okay? It wasn't great. Every time I walked into a chat, I felt like everybody looked at me like one of those gaming or TTV guys, right? When you see somebody in a video game and they're always like, "My name's Master Zoomer TTV." You're just like, "Oh, great, not another TTV guy." I mean, there were times when Pan and I were playing games in beta, we'd see a guy in TTV, and we would go harder to make sure that we beat them because they said TTV in their name. And so it doesn't quite do the same branding that you might be looking for when you do those things. And when you walk into another streamer's chat, I get iffy about people. If I see gaming in your name and stuff, there's a lot of times where like I'm kind of iffy at first. I kind of got to warm up to you, and I kind of got to be like, okay, you know what? No, this guy's pretty good. I like him. So it does take a little bit for that moment. But I felt that way. So I felt very ostracized, especially when I moved right over to Mixer and nobody knew me. That everybody was like, oh, it's this play guy. He plays video games. That's what it is. Because it was Kill Plays, because Kill plays video games. And that's what it was. And I was like, oh God, this is terrible. I should never have chosen to do this. I got to come up with a new name. So I worked with Sando, which is another one of my mods, and we worked together to come up with a name. Now, I was like, I still got to keep the kill in there, but I also want to find some other aspect of my life that I can relate it to. And so as we were sitting there thinking, we were like, okay, well, what else could we relate it to? Well, I was like, well, I mean, could we relate it at all to physics? Because that's what I teach. That's what I went to college for. Would that be something we could do? And we sat there and, we were thinking about it and we were like, oh, you know what? What about kilometers? He was joking. I was like, no, kilometers, that sounds weird. I'm not a measure of distance. That doesn't make any good branding sense. And we were sitting there, we were thinking, I was like, but I do like kilo. I like that because, it's 1,000. It's a unit of measure. It's a prefix. I like it. It works out really well because people can still call me Kill, can call me Kilo. And I was like, what about, and it was, I can't remember if it was him or I, but we just went, what about Kilohmz? It's a measure of electrical resistance, which is one of my favorite subjects to teach. And it's also flows really well. And then we were like, so we went with Kilohmz with an S. And then I was like, 2 weeks later, I was like, no, we got to put a Z on this guy because it's spicier, right? It's like Kilohmz, and it makes it different. And I'm not a unit of measure. So when people search my name on Google, all of my stuff pops up and not the definition of a unit of measure. And that's what I've been ever since. I've been Kilohmz for, I think, 2 years-ish now. Been super happy with that change. I love the branding that I've been doing with it. I'm still working on more branding I'm doing with it, but it was a step in the right direction and it was exactly what I needed. And so that's where my story kind of was. Now, take that with a grain of salt. The story, I like to tell the story. It's the anecdote. It just kind of brings us all into these things. Because I'm going to hit on some of the things that I did that I would like to tell you to avoid as you're getting started looking for your name. And then I'm also going to tell you some things that I did that were really good. But I might not even mention what I did to just remember my story, right? That kind of thing. But when you're talking about your name, there's some key things to avoid. And now note, before I start, there are exceptions to the rule. I have friends that have some of these things in their names and they have very successful brands. There are probably plenty of, amazing people that have these things in them. Like one of my things is excessive numbers. Don't put numbers in your name, right? Because it's hard to keep up with. Yeah, well, Summit 1G still works and it's Summit 1G, right? So like there are people out there that have exceptions to the rule. And I'm just saying that these are more guidelines and ideas that you should probably watch out for instead of jumping in and saying, I want my name to be Senior Fluffer Duffer the 67th of Yorkshire. I wouldn't even get started on the amount of reasons why that name is probably a very bad idea. One, it's way too long. Two, it makes way too little sense. And then it also, you get your excessive numbers and stuff. Because it's also, little did you know, it was written in leet speak. So, first thing we're going to start off with, inappropriate names. Inappropriate names. The name I put on here, by the way, do you understand? I know I'm going a little bit more risque than usual because I like keeping to my teen brand, and since it's going on YouTube, I don't want COPA involved. So inappropriate names would be like Penis Master 69, Blunt Stud 420. Why are these names not good? They're inappropriate. They're unprofessional. They make you seem like a child, or they make you seem like somebody that is into things that is not necessarily socially acceptable everywhere. Advertisers will not want to work with you if your name is Penis Master 69. I'm sorry, but I can't really see Logitech reaching out to you saying, hey, by the way, we'd like you to work with us in Elgato. Because your brand, where you might be a wonderful, amazing content creator, they have to think about who they're selling stuff to. And they have to think about their shareholders. They have to think about this and that. And so when you have an inappropriate name, when you have a name that has innuendos in it, it is disconcerting to advertisers. It is disconcerting to people that want to partner and sponsor with you. It is a name that just does not work well for what you might be looking for. Now, if you want your brand to be that and you want to just go for it, I mean, again, these are guidelines. I'm just telling you where I think that if you have something that is suggestive, sexually, or any inappropriate, anything that could be seen as unprofessional, then a lot of times you will have a harder time making a brand with that. Well, you might not have a hard time making a brand. You might have a hard time making connections with that. An example would be Tomato Anus over on Twitch. His name is a little risque, right? Of course, because now it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. Tomato Anus, whoop-de-doo, right? It's not that bad. But when he went to go be on GDQ, they had to introduce him as Tomato Angus, like Angus beef patties, because it was too inappropriate for the show they were putting on. So if you're unwilling to change your name for something like that, you also have to think about those aspects, because that's something that you might have to do. And if you're not willing to bend your brand, then you might lose out on opportunities that could be massively important and helpful for the community you're trying to build. Now, the next thing on my list is excessive numbers. Really, you kind of want to avoid numbers at all. Like, one number is really not that bad, but the big thing I'm thinking about is leet speak. Now, I don't know how common leet speak is in the current generation of children. I actually haven't talked to my high schoolers about leet speak ever. But when I was growing up, and this was in the early to mid 2000s, so I guess mid to late, so 2005 through 2010, leet speak was very popular on Xbox and on PlayStation. You saw it all the time. You saw people writing their names with all these numbers and stuff because it was edgy, it was cool. It's hard to remember somebody's name, though. You'd always have to write that person's name down, or you'd have to remember that they did it in a specific way, because it's tough to do that. which means that if you meet somebody on the side of the road and you're like, hey, by the way, my name's Star Killer, but it's ST4RK1LL3R. I'm not going to remember that off the... What? I'm not going to remember who you are. I'll be like, yeah, that's Star Killer, dude. I'm going to search you up and I'm going to find stuff about Star Killer base. I'm going to find Star Wars stuff based around Star Killer, right? So that is going to be where I'm like, that's tougher for me to find you as a brand to interact with you later on. It makes it tough for your viewer to find you unless they've memorized everything that's in there. It makes it becomes tougher. And that's what a lot of these try to avoid is things that could make it tougher. The next thing I will say is underscores. Now, again, underscores are fine. They look like spaces, but when you put them into a URL and you put a space there, it doesn't work. So a space and an underscore look very similar. So if somebody's looking at just the link, they might not understand. Now, that's like a very shallow, easy way out. But underscores also tend to make things harder. If my name is Kill Plays and it is Kill underscore Plays, which it was, people are generally going to put it together as KILPLAYS. They just put it together as one word because they don't think about the fact that it's spaced out. Even though in our brain, when we write things on paper for an English paper, we have it spaced out. But in the gaming world, we crunch everything together to be one word, especially usernames. So when there is an underscore or something like that, it throws people off from what they're doing and from what they're seeing. So it makes it harder to keep track of your brand in that way. Now, again, having one or two underscores really, I guess, isn't a terrible thing, right? It's not dreadful, but it can be hard to keep up with your brand if you have an excessive amount of any of these things that I've talked about. All right. So we've been doing pretty good so far talking about all these things that you should avoid. And there's one last thing I really want to get on to you guys about. And again, I have an exception to this. I have a friend who has these in his name and has a very successful brand, and I'm very proud of him, and this is not adding him at all. Just so you're aware, because I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, ooh, ooh, ooh. No, not my point. Literally just the fact that it happens to be this way. But if you have basically the XX Gamers Are Us XX, it can be tough to remember those things. Because I never call out somebody and I say, hey, this is XX Swifty Sweet Gamer XX. I always forget that. I'll just be like, oh yeah, this is Swifty. Swifty Sweet. I love him. He's a great dude. And so thus, again, it's one of those things that it can be something that gets neglected because our gamer brains were used to seeing it. So we cut it out to see what the real name is. Because I've seen things where people space things out with the letter X. So it'd be like XX Gamers XRX Us XX. That's incredibly tough to look at and know who you are. It's hard for me to see your brand and see who you are when you're adding random letters in. Not to mention people with people that have a hard time reading, people with dyslexia and stuff like that. They have a hard time seeing a lot of these things, and thus they're going to have a hard time knowing who you are. And they might be like, yeah, Gamers Us Are. I don't know. It's a really weird name. Maybe they just didn't want to have two S's to make it seem like they were fans of the USSR. I don't know. Maybe they're saying like it's a United States Republic. You know, they might not understand because they've read it in their brain wrong because of all these extra characters that were unnecessary. And I guess that's the big thing I want you guys to take away is when you have your name, you should keep it very unique and simple. Keep it very simple and stuff like that. So let's move into the things that you could do, because there's people out there that have already made branding pretty simple to look at. Take a look at Ninja, Shroud, Summit 1G, Lyric. All of their names are very easy to remember. All of them are generally about one word, with Summit being the only exception. And most of the time you can still call them Summit and everybody knows who you're talking about. It's just like Tim. If I say Tim the Tap Man, everybody knows who you're talking about if you say Tim, right? If I say Darkness, everybody knows that you're talking about the Facebook streamer. If I say Goth, people know I'm talking about King Gathalion. People have these nicknames and stuff like that, and people have these simple brands like Ninja that keeps things very simple for people. I can search ninja right now, and yeah, I'm going to find things on ninjas, but I'm also going to see a lot of stuff on him because his brand is so massive and so well built around that one word, because it's so simple, people can easily associate it with him. It's something that matters to him and has been his name for so long that it connects and clicks, and it's easy to do. And it's very easy to remember. The other thing you guys need to do is when you're making these names and you're building out your brand along the internet, along all of these different platforms, you need to have the same @. Now, I know I am not necessarily the right person to say, hey, you need to keep the same @. Because I'm sure all of you guys would be like, Kill, but your Twitter is definitely not Kilohmz. And you're right. My Twitter is a little bit set up differently because I like how it's set up being Mind of Kill. And I blame that 100% on the fact that I love Mind of Snap. Like, if you guys don't know Snaps, wonderful streamer over on Twitch. And she basically having that as her tag, I saw it and I was like, that's such an amazing tag. And I basically was like, you know what? I like it. Mind of Kill. Here we go. Because it's what's in my mind is what my Twitter's about. Is what my thoughts are, what my opinions are on. And so that's why mine's the way it is. And I agree. Mine is not the best way it should be. But I also have a link tree set up so that way people only have to remember linktr.ee/Kilohmz and you can get to everything that you want from me. All of my social media in one place, which yes, we are going to have a dedicated podcast talking about things like Linktree and other sites that you guys should keep track of to help you out with either stats, with link management, Twitter management, social media management stuff. We're going to talk about that in a later episode, but I understand. So on your Instagram, on everything, you should try to have the same exact name across the board. Because then if one person goes, oh, I need to look up Kilohmz, well, I can just go to Facebook and go Kilohmz and I can still find him. The other thing is, I am. Sorry, I was on the wrong computer. I was going to prove another point to myself. Because I'm pretty sure I could also go to a just a random Twitter, right? I could go to Twitter, take a look at it. Oh, I have to sign in if I go incognito. See, you know, these are the problems when you have the ideas right off the top of your head. You're like, oh man, this would be such a good idea to just go at and take a look. Well, the other thing is, so here you go. The other thing that you can do, and here's why my name still works for the way it is, and for anything else. If I put my name and I just search Kilohmz on Twitter, I found all my stuff. And that's because my Twitter display name is my name, or it's a form of my name, right? It's something people know me as so they can search me as it. I put Kilohmz on Twitter, I'm finding stuff that relates to Kilohmz. I'm the first person that popped up in the top searches. And all of my tweets are the tweets that popped up first. Going live tweets, replies to people, shouting out to people. All of that stuff is the first thing that I posted. Is the first thing that you see with that. And so that's how you can know that my brand works in the way that it's supposed to work. Because heck, I can even go to Google right now. And if I type in my brand, if I type in Kilohmz, and I put it in that way, Kilohmz Mixer, images for Kilohmz. The first 4 images are all, 2 of them are my logo. 3rd one's my Twitter profile picture. 4th one is my Twitch, is one of my Twitch panels. 2nd link is my Twitch channel. 3rd is my Twitter. Videos, all 3 of, the first 2 are 2 of my videos. Kilohmz is on Facebook Gaming. Kilohmz streamer profile and stats from Twitch metrics. I didn't even know that was a thing. My YouTube, my Mixer stats, my Shed profile. All of these things that I have right there, which are spectacular for me to look at. And I mean, like, I just pulled up my Twitch metrics because all I did was search my name. So that's one of the things that I think is very, very good for you guys to have to think about and look at is when you're making a name. If you can keep it simple and you have the same name everywhere, if anybody searches your name, they're going to find you on everything. Which pulls me into the next thing, right? So you've done it. You have the @ everywhere are the same. You have them all being HyperGamer1. right? You are HyperGamer1 across the board for everything. Well, now's the chance that you can use your Twitter name for whatever. So everybody calls you Hype, right? Everybody calls you Hyper. Whatever it is. For me, everybody calls me Kill or Kilo. So if my Twitter matched Kilohmz, I could put Kilo as my display name on Twitter. Then people can find me by my display name as well as by my actual app. Let me give an example. King Gathalion. I believe King Gathalion, and I'm going to double check this because I should have checked it earlier, but I'm a dummy and a dingus, and I forget to check these things, even though I have such amazing ideas. But if I take a look at Gathalion, well, Gathalion's at and his name are both Gathalion. So he's King Gathalion and everything else. But on Twitter, he's Gathalion, and his display name is Gathalion. But you might know him as King Gathalion. So if I search Twitter for King Gathalion, I still end up having him pop up pretty much first. And a lot of stuff with his Gathalion. And you see stuff about him. You see the latest things about him. All of those things. So that's another big thing about it, is having a name, like if your name is there. Or here's another one, Panda. The Naked Panda on Mixer. Wonderful guy, one of my best friends of all time. His name on Twitter is like the Naked Panda NP or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's the Naked Panda. His name, his display name, he changes around to have fun with it and stuff like that. So it'll be like the spooky panda and stuff like that. So he can have fun with that. And then it brands for him that he might be playing horror games that month. Boom. Easy money. Or right now it's the Pandalorian, which means right now you could go and you could talk to him about the Mandalorian. You could go talk to him about Star Wars stuff. And he's basically putting this idea and branding into your brain, when I really don't think he's thought about this, but he's putting these ideas into your head to go talk about these things with him. Like, you see his name, you see Pandalorian, you might want to go talk to him about the Mandalorian. You might want to go talk to him about Star Wars, because obviously he has a connection with that series. So you want to go check out that guy because you see that name as his display. So you can use your display name to actually do those things. It's just like how you see all these Twitter streamers, all these streamers on Twitter. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You see all these streamers on Twitter, when they have their name, it changes a display. So it says their name, bracket, live, bracket. And this is a spectacular idea, because what it does is these people can see you, and then if they see you tweet during that time, if they see any tweets from you during that time, something they missed from last night to something that you posted 45 minutes before you went live, they now know you're live, so they can come in, they can see you. So these changes in display names are something that should be utilized by you as a content creator to let people know something about you or your content. Mine is my actual name. Hey, I'm Kilohmz. Here it is. My Twitter's about my mind. Stuff that goes through my brain is going on my Twitter. That's how it stays on brand for me. I talk about the things that I love and I'm passionate about, and I throw it out on Twitter when I remember to. So that's how I do it. Like, that's how my brain works to connect my content there. Now, I completely, like, my brain just shut down for a few seconds. Sorry. So the next thing is to think about how it relates to your brand, right? Kilohmz relates to my brand because Kill has been my name for the past 6 years on the internet. Some form of Kill. Kilroy, Kill Plays, Kilohmz, Classy Kilroy. These things have been a part of me for the past 5 or 6 years now. So, obviously, having Kilohmz as my name, or Mind of Kill as my name, matches with my brand. Another example, content is king. The name of this podcast is to talk about how anybody's content, the content that you're creating, that's what matters, right? Is that your content dictates everything, which is why I try to put out the podcast, why I try to talk about content, why I try to talk about how you can build it better, because these things that go on, it connects to it. And so my podcast, the point and its name is to bring you in to be like, wait, content is king. Why is content king? What about content makes it better? What makes your content rule? How can you make your content rule? What can you do to better brand yourself? What can you do to better make content? What can you do to make your content king? Which is why, thanks to Pixels Gets Me, God, I love Pixels. Wonderful dude as well. Another streamer you guys should go check out. Why his name, I asked him for help with the name. He said that name, I thought about it, and it fit perfectly. Because the whole point of this is me to talk about my journey, talk about things I've thought about, things that I needed to help growing in, to help you guys that are listening or watching this now. And that was the whole point. How am I making my content king, and how can you make your content king? How can you do these things to build up your content and doing that stuff? And at the end of the time, it still comes into being unique, right? It has some way to relate to your viewers and relate to you. Content is king, right? It's how can your content be king? How is my content growing to be king? And it's not to say that there can only be one, right? This isn't the Thunderdome. But we're going back and forth of saying, how can our content grow? How can our content be great? And let's take a look and do it together. Let's grow together. Let's work on these things together. Here's my seeds from somebody who is not partnered, who has not necessarily found quote unquote success, but who has done a lot of time researching and understanding the platform to help maybe you grow better than myself. I want to have these conversations so I can help you out more than myself, because if I don't grow, that's fine, whatever. But if I can help you grow, then I've done something better already, because I've been able to give you some advice from something I've learned and to made you stop you from making a mistake that I myself made. That's helped me to be unique. That's my goal. My mission statement is to help anybody else that I can throughout my content. And that's the point there. The other thing is, if you look at my name, if you look at Panda's name, people call me Kill. People call him Panda. We're given nicknames because it builds relationships as well. So if you have a unique name that can also be worked to have some form of a nickname with it, you can start building a relationship, because somebody's going to end up going, and it builds a relationship of, at that point, when people call me Kill or people call me Kilo, it connects more with me than somebody that calls me Kilohmz. Somebody that calls me Kilohmz doesn't know who I am, and they're just reaching out to me because we're in the same chat, or they've heard my name, or they've seen it somewhere, and they're saying my name to say my name because they don't know me. People that call me Kill, people that call me Kilo, they know me. They know who I am, and I built a bond with them, and so thus they've been willing to give me or call me by a nickname that I have, which is awesome. And it's something that you should try to grow towards and do. I have the Roche on Twitch, one of my mods. Call him Ro. He had somebody else picked up the nickname, but I still see his name. I don't call him Roche. I call him Ro. I know his real name. I call him Ro. That's my nickname for him now. It has become something that I've adopted from him to help me. It's just like my buddy E-Monster. Great dude. Love him as well. I call him E-Mon. I don't call him E-Monster, because I've grown to the point where when I grow and I relate to people, I give them a nickname. Somebody else might have already given them the nickname, and I've heard it and I like it, so I give them that same nickname. Obviously, I wasn't the first person to call Panda Panda, but I like it, so I call him Panda. And a lot of times after I've built an even closer relationship, I call him Pans. I'll be like, Panda. I'll be like, Pans, what are you doing? Like, when we are in vocal conversation, I call him an abundance of different names, because to me, that's showing how much I care to him. And it's showing that I'm trying to make the connection with him as well. And your viewers will try to do that if it makes it easy for you. Easy for them. If it makes it easy for them to do such. And so having that relatable name is something that's great, so that way your viewers can connect with you and hold on to it, and they can build a relationship with you. Because if they build a relationship with you, that's the best, no matter what. Because having 3 viewers that you've built a relationship with is better than 20 that don't talk. And you will have better streams with those 3 than you will with the 20. I know it from experience. I've had streams where I've had up to 60 people in my chat. I've had streams where I've had up to 300 people in my chat. And the streams flew by and I remember nothing from them, and they didn't have any impact on my life because I didn't have the same relationship. The people might not have talked as much. They might not have been as interactive. There might have been too much going on that my brain was in overload, which is what happened with the one where I was at 300 to 400 viewers. Maybe I'll tell that story one day, but my brain went into overload and I couldn't keep up with what I needed to do. So I had a hard time building any connection with anybody on that stream. I got rated by a great streamer, Defender 1031 over on Twitch. Great Mario Maker troll creator. Love him to death. He came in and he rated me because he's a good guy and he's a good friend of mine. And he's really happy that I've been spending a lot of time on Twitch. So he came in and he rated me. I talked to him and maybe 3 of his viewers. I had 25 to 80 people in my chat, and I could only make connections with 4 or 5 of them. We were only talking those once. So it's great to have a lot of other people in chat, but the people that I made those meaningful connections with were only that few. Just like I was playing troll levels the other day, I played The Bandwagon is another community on Twitch that works explicitly with troll levels. I worked hard with them, talking to them and everything like that. I played one of their levels and I grew and I bonded with them that a lot of them come back to my streams now when I'm playing whatever. I had some of them coming back today when I was just playing viewer levels and just checking stuff out. And they came in and they built that. We built a relationship. Now, of course, that goes off tangent. That's not because of my name alone. It makes me recognizable. I have a unique name. People recognize me in chats. I went to one guy, Chichiri. I'm talking about a lot of Mario Maker streamers, by the way. Chichiri, he's like, dude, I've seen your name in so many different Discords and stuff, but I don't think I actually know you. Because my name's unique. Just like Chichiri's a unique name, right? We recognize each other's names, so we want to get to know each other. We want to talk to each other a little bit more. So we do. We have those conversations in chats. We get to know each other. We might raid or host each other and get to know each other and see what's going on and see, hey, how is that guy as a person? What's he about? You know, what's going on with that guy? I want to get to know him some. And it all comes down because at the very beginning of the day, everybody sees you by your name, which is honestly one of the most important things for your brand. If I'm going to wrap this entire 40-minute podcast up into one big thing, it's that your name is the most important thing about you because it gives that first impression of everything who you are. I look at names of people that when I was on Mix, we called them blueberries. I look at a blueberry's name and I go, kid's going to try to troll me. They might have, they might not have, but I had a preconceived notion because of how their name was spelled. I didn't think of them as a certain type of viewer or a certain type of broadcaster. Whereas if I saw somebody with a more formal name or a different colored name, I saw them in a different way. Which isn't necessarily fair. I understand. But we all have these preconceived judgments and notions about people while we see them. And so based on the names, based on the people that are XX_R_us XX, we have a preconceived notion about that guy because we saw some dude like him that was acting like a dick in COD. We just do. We know that there are people like that. Just like we see the people that are the inappropriate name Penis Master 69 and Blunts McGee 420. Those people we know are gonna, like, by their name, we've already assumed they're going to be toxic. We just have. We've already made the judgment call in our brains that they're going to be that way. Or at least I have. And maybe a couple of you guys relate to me, maybe a couple of you don't. But when it comes down to it, that's the thing. So when you're branding your name, you need to make it something that's unique to you and isn't unique to somebody else, isn't unique to a group of people. Make it you. It's your name. It's your brand. If you're a viewer, if you're a streamer, it is you. It is nobody but you. And so at the end of the day, avoid having something that's inappropriate. Avoid the excessive numbers. Avoid the underscores. Avoid the generic gamer names if you can. Keep it simple. Keep it the same. Keep it something that's relatable. And keep it on your brand. That's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Please like it, rate it, however you want to do it, all that fun stuff. It really helps me out sharing it around. Hit me up on Twitter if you guys want to talk. Hit me up in comments. Hit me up in Instagram DMs. All of my links will be down in my link tree below. That all being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Stay awesome. Do great things. I'll see you guys next time. Adios.